And photos, it's a collection of images that depicts who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and how you're different. So it's strategic, it's thoughtful. Again, people are going to be looking at that photo before they read all of the things. So how can we in one photo and how can that imagery show what you want to communicate about who you are, what you do, and why you do it? It was just like one small thing about your life, but that makes you different. That sets you apart a little bit and tells an interesting story in this parallel. So those are the kind of things I'm looking for, like what is it that we can pull out to make, like, you think you're going in for photos, but really you're coming out with so much more. You're coming out with like more solid foundation around your strategy, around who you want your brand to be, around how you want to present yourself. And then you also have this like huge library of imagery to pull from, capturing the relationship and, like you said, like bringing out the soul and the beauty and the emotion that's there through that connection is really fun. So those are some of the things I'm kind of playing around.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nobuyo Ann Catherine. I am the founder and CEO of Divine Heart Enterprise. I am a master spiritual life coach, energy healer, feng shui master, and card advisor. For this episode 3 of my interview series called Finding Your Soul Tribe, hashtag Divine Heart Tribe, I have a very special guest, Ginny Filer. Ginny is a Maryland photographer based in Silver Spring, Maryland, very local to me. She works with families, professionals, and small business owners in Maryland and throughout Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia. Ginny is my brand photographer. Please welcome Ginny Filer.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Ginny. Thank you so much for joining me in this
Yeah, thanks for
conversation. I know
having
you're
me.
busy and you're taking your time away from your schedule,
Yeah.
but I really appreciate doing this with me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. And it's been, I think it's almost a year, right? I think
I think
first time
so. Yeah, it was last spring. Yeah.
it was kind of crazy. My brand and web developer Eos Koch, who lives on island off of Spain, finds you halfway around the globe.
That's so funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. I mean, but yeah, that's amazing. But so funny that she was able to find me. So I'm glad she connected us.
And I'm so glad that you responded to my email as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
So I'd like to start asking you this question. A year ago, it was about me, and today it's about you, and mostly. And I'd like to ask you how you were inspired to be a photographer.
Yeah, so my background in college and everything was actually in communications and video production. And it wasn't until kind of digital photography came on the scene that it became so easy to learn. Because with digital photography, you take the picture, you see exactly what happens. When you change the settings, you see instant results. It was so much faster to learn. And I found myself just like, wanting to learn so much. And so I bought a little starter DSLR camera, and a lot of my friends at the time were starting to have kids. And so I found kids were such easy subjects to test, right? Because taking pictures of people was kind of intimidating. Like taking pictures of flowers and sunsets was great, but I was like, I need to practice taking pictures of people. And so I started with kids because they didn't care. They were natural. They were themselves in front of the camera. You didn't have to worry about them being self-conscious. And it was super fun, right? Kids were great to work with. So I don't know, I just kept leaning into that. And my friends were like, people will pay you to do this. And I was like, oh, okay. So, started charging very, very little, and then kind of it just built up. And here I am almost 15 years later doing all kinds of things photography related. So yeah, that's kind of where.
15 years, that's a
Yeah.
long time. So
Yeah.
now you're focusing on a little bit more of a branding and
Yeah,
entrepreneur.
exactly. Now I still have my family, still love them, still love photographing babies and kids, and they will always hold a special place in my heart. But kind of as I've developed as a photographer and just to kind of in my personal life, I feel like I've gravitated more towards not just focusing on kids, but other adults in front of the camera and helping them feel comfortable. So that same beauty that you get from getting the natural reaction of a child, like getting that from an adult and helping them really be themselves, see themselves the way we see them, and kind of bringing out the best in them is a whole new type of energy. And especially with branding work. I feel like I relate really well to other, especially female entrepreneurs and how tough it is out there. And just when you have something you're so passionate about and you want to get it across, like helping them on the photography side is so much fun and so energizing. And I love it when kind of we get to the other side and people see like, oh, this was what we were doing. You're like, yes.
Yes, yeah, your work is very natural. Sometimes I go into on your website and take a look at your photos that you take,
Mhm.
and it just the more I look at the photos you take, the more I fall in love with them. So you almost like capture the souls of
Mhm.
those who
Photographed.
being. So when did you discover that was kind of your style or talent?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I said, starting with kids, they're just so natural and themselves in front of the camera. And so I think that just like naturally translates to, okay, I can get kids to do that and I can act silly and make funny faces and get them to be funny and cute. But like, how can I also help an adult feel just as comfortable in front of the camera and be able to be themselves? And so, yeah, just kind of being able to loosen up, make people feel comfortable, be friendly, like make it fun. I feel like goes a really long way in
Yeah,
making people
it's
comfortable.
almost like it's in your blood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
totally.
when I met you, I was in the process of rebranding my practice and my business, and I had some idea of what this may look like,
Hmm.
but it wasn't really clear. I would say that was more like flat,
Yeah,
and it was probably like one third of the way of the
yeah,
process. And then we really need to put the life into it. And that
yeah.
was the photos. The photos were really needed to give it life and also
Mhm.
add colors.
Yeah,
So you don't just take photos. I do feel that you consider whole branding.
yeah.
And then so when do you think somebody should invest in like brand photos?
I feel like you said, there's a lot of people that you don't, I mean, a lot of people come to me when they're at that point where they're like, oh, I'm trying to put a website together. And then they realize, well, shoot, I need photos and I don't have any, and it's so much more than just snapping headshots and a pretty picture of you. It's really thinking strategically about what are the images that are going to communicate who you are, what you do, why you do it in an instant. Because people don't read a whole lot anymore. Attention spans are shorter and shorter and shorter. And if someone's going to your webpage, yes, they might read some of it, but they're going to see that photo. And what is it that we can make that photo say that can instantly get them to continue to stay, to read, to want to learn more. And so it's about being strategic about what makes you different, what makes you unique. What can we show in that photo that's going to bring a connection, that's going to make them want to learn more about you. And it's not just a pretty photo of you. Yes, you want to look nice, but like, what are we trying to say about you? And so that's where the strategy around the imagery comes in.
Yeah, I remember answering long questions, and I know it was for you to get to know me, but it really helped me to get know myself and what I'm trying to convey. It really put my thinking hat on, and so really, what am I trying to do here?
Yeah.
So from my session a year ago, Anything stood out or what you remembered?
Yeah, yeah. So what I love about the questionnaire is it is very long, but it's really trying to dig deep to find that like that little piece that makes you different, right? 'Cause there can be lots of people that do the same thing. There's lots of lawyers out there, and there's lots of therapists out there, and there's lots of healthcare providers. But what is it that is about you that makes you different? Now, we don't have to share every little bit about your personal life, but like, can we draw something out that's a little different? And one of the things that you mentioned in your questionnaire was that you had this whole aviation background. And I was like, oh my gosh, that like I would have never known that about you unless you had told me, right? And so the whole analogy of like guiding people on their spiritual journey and then aviation and a flight path, I was like, a one small thing about your life, but that makes you different, that sets you apart a little bit and tells an interesting story in this parallel. So those are the kind of things I'm looking for, like what is it that we can pull out to make you more personable, a little different, and stand out.
I do incorporate, that was kind of a beginning of my idea. Oh, how can I incorporate aviation? I have long aviation career behind me,
Yeah,
and how can I incorporate into my
love it.
spiritual life coaching practice? Because they do align, and a lot of things I wrote blog about it, and I include this, but yeah, the aviation is kind of a cutting edge. It's always looking for things to improve, and I incorporate those into my practice as
I
well.
love
So
that. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
such the perfect parallel. I was like, oh my gosh, we have to use this.
So you think the business owners it is important for business owner to show their faces, like you've been saying. And what would
Absolutely.
you say to them for those who
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like, it is very vulnerable to put yourself out there and to show your face. Most 99% of people do not enjoy having their photo taken. Everyone comes to me like, "Oh, I'm not great at this." And like, I get it. No, unless we're a professional model, nobody is. But there's only one of you, right? And you are the differentiator in your business. Like I said, there might be many people that do the same thing, but there's only one of you. So we do need to show you, and so that's why it's important to hire someone. Like you can try and take photos of yourself, but like to bring someone in that can like take on the the ownership of figuring out what should we take pictures of where and like all of those things, like it's like I said, it's more than just the person snapping the picture behind the camera. It's how should we look, what should our demeanor be, how should we be sitting, how should we be leaning, all of those different things is what I can help to bring you into the photos and make sure that that photo is, like you said, like showing your soul a little bit, not just taking a picture with your phone and being done.
yeah. Yeah, I completely can resonate with that. So, I mean, in nutshell, how would you say what the brand photography is?
Yeah, and its shortest, most succinct way to say it is, brand photos. It's a collection of images that depicts who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and how you're different. So it's strategic, it's thoughtful. Again, people are going to be looking at that photo before they read all of the things. So how can we in one photo and how can that imagery show what you want to communicate about who you are, what you do, and why you do it?
And amazing how you do that. I remember you wanted to make it as close as to what I do and who I am.
Yes.
So you were actually in this room
Yeah.
and taking photos and
Important that we don't try to over stylize or overproduce what's not you. I think it's figuring out what are the parts to truly show what is it like to work with you? What is it like to come to your office? Well, you've got this beautiful wallpaper in the background. We want to show that so that when people show up, there's not a disconnect. So if they would come to your office, they would be like, "Oh yeah, this makes sense. This is what I saw." Not, "Hold up, this is very different than what I thought this would be." You want the experience to feel authentic.
Do you think that it will impact confidence beyond their business practice?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like after people have done this, they see like what's possible and that they can be in front of the camera and they can, bring that kind of energy and look great and have images of themselves that they actually like. Like it can happen, and I feel like that confidence is huge.
So you say that you've been doing this for 15 years, and I'm
Hmm.
assuming that you continue to
Yeah.
continue your journey. And do you have anything new or what, what's in your mind for the
Yeah, oh my gosh. I feel like I have so many ideas all the time. Which is exciting, which shows that I'm where I should be, right? I feel like when you can't stop with all the ideas, it's a good problem to have. I feel like right now I'm really leaning into more of that, like working with other entrepreneurs, working with um other, mostly women, but men too, but people that like want to get photos of themselves that feel more like them. I've been doing a ton of headshots, but I've been working on kind of, we're calling them like modern portraits, where it's like it's not quite a branding session, but it's more than a headshot. So that in between of like, I want something that's a little bit more elevated, a little bit more personality, a little bit more fun, but we're not quite going the whole branding session So route that's yet. Been really fun. A lot more work in my studio. I have a studio in Silver Spring, and it's been fun, like figuring out like other ways to even reinvent family sessions that are built much more about connection. Like the families in the park is great, but sometimes getting a little more focused and still and focusing on like a connection between a parent and a child who's about to go off to college, or someone and their aging parent, and really capturing the relationship, and like you said, like bringing out the soul and the beauty and the emotion that's there through that connection is really fun. So those are some of the things I'm kind of playing around.
you're really capturing that uh, m- moment and putting it in a frame and putting bow on top kind of things, right?
Yeah, the best version of what you're trying to communicate, right? So, yeah.
So you kind of mixing it up and
Yeah, kind of mixing it up. It's seasonal too, right? So wintertime, people are not as wanting to go outside and take photos, which I don't either. So having the studio makes a great space to, try to do something different, and kind of play around with other ideas that can be more studio focused. And you have a lot more control, and it's just a lot more comfortable. I feel like this space I have is very private and calm. And so I think a lot of people have said that that experience feels just a little less chaotic than maybe trying to wrangle everybody out in public, or meeting up somewhere. Like there's a sense of calm and relaxation to coming to the studio, taking it a little bit slower, and not having to worry about, weather and all those kinds of things.
it's like offering a sacred space like
Yes.
I do uh,
Yes.
mentally. Well, you do mentally too, but physically, you
Yeah.
really are creating a space for those people to just focus on that moment and what they want to
Exactly.
capture. And
Exactly.
so, yeah, I think that's amazing work. And I do have to come back to you and you have to do a studio session. But
Yeah.
anything just for, what you do, any
Yeah. I
words.
think just encouraging people to not be afraid to take that step, and that you'll be surprised at um what the process brings out. And I think you might agree in that, like, you think you're going in for photos, but really you're coming out with so much more. You're coming out with like more solid foundation around your strategy, around who you want your brand to be, around how you want to present yourself. And then you also have this like huge library of imagery to pull from.
It
That's not
was.
just photos, but understanding yourself more. And like I said, and then you come back with this like library that you can keep pulling from for so many different things.
It was a journey, but it was like a kind of a spontaneous or natural process. It gave me an opportunity to really think about where I am and where am I going to, and you really helped me with the process. And at the end of the process, like you said, I was with all these, I don't know how many photos that, yeah, 300 some photos pick from, and I really enjoy the process and meeting you and photo shoot. It all kind of went fast, but I really enjoyed the process.
Yeah, well, it was so fun doing it with you. And I just love learning. It gives me this like front row seat to watching someone's passion kind of come to fruition. And I love watching that. I love being able to help someone get there and to see that they have so much passion in something that there's a business around it, and they're trying to bring themselves into it and their personality and helping them interject more about who they are into their brand, into their business, into this thing that they're pouring so much into, is really gratifying. So I love seeing it. And so I love even more when they send me the website or when I see the photos in use. I'm like, yes, we did
Yeah,
it.
it was just amazing. I did have somebody else in my mind that somebody I knew. Believe it or not, I do have a lot of people who does something similar to you, but
Mhm.
everyone's different. And
Yeah.
so my web developer, who I've never met in person actually, because she lives on the island of Spain, and she's just an amazing person as well. And she found you. I think Nobuyo, I think you will like this person.
Well,
And
she
so
made
when
the
we landed
connection.
on your website, yeah, I think so. And so I felt really it was meant to be because you
Yeah.
answered my email and everything just unfolded as like it was planned. So
Oh,
I really
yay.
appreciate. Yeah. So
Yeah.
well, I would like to thank you for the
Yeah,
time and the conversation and
of
learn a
course.
lot more about you. And hopefully we'll stay in touch. And
Absolutely. All
so
right. Thank you.
thank you so much.
All right. Talk
All
to you
right. Bye.
later.